Okay, good afternoon, Ngozi Talk Shows family. It's Namsa here at Ngozi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. So, with me today, I have Shireen Lovegrove, Carol Ann Cooper, and Claudia Passa. How are you, ladies?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Cheers, I'm fine. How's everybody?
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So our topic today is trust torn apart, how to rebuild your life after betrayal. So betrayal, it comes from a friend, partner, whether betrayal comes from a friend, partner, family members, friends, or colleagues. It can leave deep emotional scars. It can shake your foundation, challenge your perception of others, and undermine your trust in the world. So, however, rebuilding your life after such an experience is not only possible, but it can lead to immense personal growth and transformation. I'm so curious, Carol Ann. This is a very, very powerful and strong topic. I am just wondering what was going on when you choose the topic, or did somebody betray you? Your trust?
I don't know, because I put a note in my diary a few weeks ago about this one. You know, it's a topic, sort of something around betrayal and how to deal with it. And then again, just popped it into chat and got a title for it. You know, and this one literally touched me when I read this title. I thought, yeah, trust torn apart. But I think what prompted it, if I remember rightly, was actually I was doing some it's when I was a couple of weeks ago, I was a trainer at Brandon Bayes' Journey Intensive, the online version. And before I went on there, I was sort of doing some prep work, and I got in touch with feeling let down by God and feeling betrayed by him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought, oh, betrayal, let me, you know, I'll explore that at some point. I thought maybe that's a great topic for us to have a look at, you know. So that's where it sort of came from. And actually, when I was in one of the processes that weekend, yeah, at the campfire, I had it out with God and said I felt let down, and I actually really got present to that he's always there, you know, and there was no letdown. And it came back on. It's like, where have I let myself down? You know, have a look at the reflection. Was there, you know, sort of, and I went, oh, okay, yeah, it's my own teaching coming back to me, sort of thing, you know, which was great. So, yeah, so that's where it stemmed from. And I think really it's because I feel like, for me, it's like I've been promised things and it hasn't happened. And so that's where I felt let down, and the word betrayed came to mind. And I just sort of looking up what the word means, you know, it's the act of breaking a person's trust or confidence, or the feeling of being harmed by the actions of someone you trust. And I think that was where it was sort of that act of breaking a person's trust or confidence, that trust that I'd had in everything I was doing. And I felt, look, everything I do, and it's still not getting me where I want to go, and felt betrayed, felt let down. But no, so that I've worked through that. But again, that does come into a lot of relationships, this sense of betrayal. And so I thought it'd be great for us to explore what is it, and yes, how can you rebuild? Because as you said, Nomsa, it is possible. And but sometimes it can feel, I loved a phrase that I saw, as if it's like the ground has been pulled from underneath you. And you're like, what do I do? Can I ever trust this person again? You know? So, and it just perhaps feels impossible that you could ever rebuild your life after that, or rebuild that relationship again. So certainly something to explore. So that's where it came from. So what did the other ladies think when you saw it?
Shireen, yeah.
Yeah, all of the things that you've been talking about, it is one of those things that is a really, really deep scar. I love that you mentioned that, Namsa. yeah, it's that deep scar. And then it is, and I was looking at a quote, which is, it doesn't come from an enemy. It comes from someone that you deeply trust, right? And then I'm kind of thinking, and my thoughts kind of went to the idea about, of course, the words expectation always comes in, about what are our expectations for people, right? What are the things that we expect from our friends that then leads us to be in a place of betrayal if they don't follow that expectation, right? And then the other thing is, how do you manage that? I was kind of wondering about that as well as I was kind of exploring that. And, you know, I don't think there's one person yet that's never had experienced the feeling of betrayal, right? Because we experience it. We experience things in life. And I've really realized it is about how it was about the conditions I had put on that person. So for you, if you put conditions on God to show up or to show you evidence in a way that actually was probably not in alignment with the way that the universe or God works, right?
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes things work out and that's the way it is. And we say, oh, that must be. But no, everything has to happen in its own natural unfolding in the way that it's supposed to, right? So, but we have this expectation of how it should be. So how your friends should be, how your partner should be, how work should be. All of those things give you that sense of betrayal. I mean, I remember when I was working in intensive care in South Africa a long time ago, and I had so much leave that, you know, that I knew I was on burnout, and I thought, oh, I need to get away and need to have some holiday. And basically, some people had been allocated enough leave to come overseas. And when I asked for what it was, I wasn't given it. And I thought, this is really odd because I have at least 6 months leave. I'm only asking for the 4. But when I said, well, the choice is either you give it or I have to resign, she just said, resign then. Well, the feeling of betrayal of what I had put in, right?
Right.
The amount of effort and the amount of everything else. And I certainly have had that experiences also in businesses. So it is really interesting. It is about what is it? What's your investment and how much that investment is, as to how betrayed do you feel, right? So there's a kind of a correlation between that investment and the level and depth of betrayal. So someone that you trust implicitly betraying you is going to be a deeper cut, I would imagine. Or certainly for me, I'm sure it is. Claudia, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just listening as well to both of you, and I like to add something in regards to Carol Ann as well, because I work a lot in my life with reflections as well. What is happening outside, so within as well. And you did mention as well, like asking yourself, Carol Ann, where in life am I not trusting myself as well in here? So I would like as well once more just to bring this up as well, because especially if we are experiencing betrayal repetitive in life, so not just a one time thing and then we had the experience. If something is coming up over and over again, and it can happen as well in all areas in life, all kind of relationships. And so just like as well to ask yourself, where am I not trusting myself? If you feel like, you know, like you can't trust this person or those people as well. And as well to ask yourself, when you feel like people have let you down, where did you let yourself down as well? Just like to really go within and to see if there's as well something you're doing to yourself. Because the thing is as well, when people speak to us and talk to us and don't say sometimes nice things to us, that's them reflecting onto us. But how people are being with us in regards to we are feeling betrayed as well. This as well could have something to do with us, that we don't look after ourselves, don't trust ourselves, and just like don't rely on us as well. Just like, does it make sense, Lomsa? Just like to go within, yeah? So to see if there's anything inside of us that we can shift and to understand, so that we don't experience it as well outside.
You're
Lomsa?
muted.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, but sometimes the betrayal, you can't prevent betrayal anywhere. No matter how much we try to manifest good energy within us, because if God wants us to experience, to give us strength through betrayal, so we will go through that betrayal. That's when our characters and everything is being tested of who we say we are. So I like Carol Ann, I like everything you ladies you've just said, and I like Carol Ann when she said she felt God had betrayed her. Why would you think that, young lady? How can God betray you? He can never do that, but he can test your strength by letting things happen to see how much you love him, and then he take away that pain at the same time. But he will never ever betray you or like turn his back on you. So those are the things that, Carol Ann, you need to know. When betrayal comes your way, it's not God. But sometimes Satan likes to play games with us as well. So what I know is, for me, I have been betrayed by people. When I went through human blood sacrifice, the most betrayal for me, it was to find out that the person that I trust, the person that I love the most, was the one that wanted to betray my parents by taking my own life. And because I could not understand it, and I was like, can you say the name again? I went over and over. I got confused. So that at first, it felt like a betrayal when I found out. But now when I look back, it's not a betrayal anymore. God wanted me to find some things about my life that I didn't know about myself. But at the time, I just felt like the world was falling apart. I just felt like it just felt like a betrayal. Even I think my mom, that's how she felt. But sometimes when things happen in a relationship, friends, how you respond is a critical component of how you're able to get up. Over to you, ladies.
Yes, it is how you respond. And
Yeah.
you were saying about it's the devil's work, and that's what I saw in this process. Actually, there's part of it where you can cut some energetic cords, and I was cutting these cords, and what I realized was the cords to the devil. I could see the devil in there, step away from God, and then see that clearer path. So I could see where everything had got smudged together, and that clarity came. It was really beautiful process to do, but gave me that clarity. And so what you were saying, Claudia, about going in, taking responsibility, for me, it's that taking responsibility. It's knowing that you create your own reality, and you're not a victim. You're a creator, and so create, and as Nomsia is saying, it's how you react to it. So you can create being a victim there, or you can create something positive, move forward from it, learn from it. And because there is something to learn, and there is that testing. You put out a commitment to do something, and there's always a test that happens for some reason. I don't know, but there's always testing happens. And so a relationship will get tested. And if you've made a commitment to somebody, if they break that trust, then there's like, okay, so what was it that happened actually that caused it? And maybe it's having that conversation. And sometimes that can be really hard. But what you really need to do then is be able to forgive. And it's not about forgiving the action. It's about forgiving the person so that you can actually move on rather than holding on to it. It's a form of freedom for you, because if you don't forgive, there's an element of hanging on to it. And in the end, you're the one that's getting hurt, and you're hurting yourself, and you're continuing to hurt yourself by holding on to it. So it's just releasing that hold that anger or resentment actually has over you. And that's what the action of forgiveness is about. And in the process that we do with Brandon at the campfire, you always come to a place of forgiveness. You get, you sort of end up talking it all out, and you come to that place, well, okay, there's an understanding happens, and you forgive. And in the actual forgiveness conversation, you're not condoning the behavior, but you're forgiving not the person, but the soul of that person. So it's on a deeper level, because that person's soul doesn't intend to betray you. There's an action that's taken place. And so it's just coming to that place of forgiveness, and you just suddenly feel something leaves you and you can move on. So you have that choice. Do you want to move on, or do you want to stay stuck? There's always that choice. So yeah, it's forgiveness is a key element of being able to rebuild your life after this. I see you agree with that, Shireen. Yeah. You're muted.
What you're saying is absolutely true. And I definitely think we have to get to that place of recognition. I think for most people, when they're in the midst of it, it's very challenging. And I think what is useful at that time is it's hard to go introspective at that point, depending on your level and confidence in yourself, right? If you've done a lot of self-development, you might get hooked in and you sort of run for a little bit, but you will come back to this reality check and take some accountability for yourself and for what made this happen, right? So when I look at things in the background, I look at where I didn't take care of myself. Where did I not set up situations so that I wasn't left in this place, right? I wasn't left to feel that betrayal. Where had I been a non-active participant in my life? And I think that's quite important. And I think often it takes a while sometimes to get enough mental capacity to be able to see the wood from the trees. So I think one of the key things that is so helpful in that is to just take some quiet time. Take some time just to let the emotion be there, and just feel it and go, okay, because you'll get to a point where after a while you start to get into this place where you start to find that life changes and you start to see things from a different perspective. And sometimes it may take years, sometimes it may take 5 minutes. Hopefully, the quicker we are, the 5 minutes it becomes closer and closer. But I loved, Carol Ann, what you said is that we had to forgive the soul, not necessarily the person. That's a different level at where we can truly give that energetic frequency. And I think it's much, much easier. If a child kicks you, you're more likely to forgive a child because a child doesn't know, right? Very often in relationships, people don't know that they've hurt you. They've done something to protect themselves, or how many times we've had people give us a white lie and we get upset, right? When we find out it was a white lie. But in actual fact, they didn't want to hurt us. They didn't want, or they were trying to avoid something. So it's really about getting to that place of understanding, which is what you were talking about, that curiosity. And then look at what was really going on for the soul of that human being, so that they would have made that kind of decision. What was really going on there? I'm not always so sure that we have to go with what we have to learn, but I think it's really, what are we feeling? What are we feeling as a human being in connection with them? You know, how do I recognize that they are me? You know, they are me and I'm them. And so if I'm hurting them, I'm hurting me. So really it's about that for me. And how do I step back and go, okay, how do I take care of their soul and take care of mine?
Mm.
So that's more or less what I think about when I have those feelings of betrayal. I immediately go into those kind of spaces first, and I do spend time just really working and powering up. I go and meditate, or I go and run, or I go and dance. I go and do something that's going to bring a resource to me so that I can feel myself whole, and then I start to look at things from a different perspective. It gives me that capability to be able to springboard into the next idea, or springboard into that place where I could possibly forgive them.
Yeah, the thing is as well, forgiving them, but as well ourselves as well at the same time, you know, that we played as well our part here too, and forgiving ourselves as well to let it go as well, because as both of you said as well, it's important because we are just causing harm to ourselves if we hold on to it. The same with resentment as well. So if we are resenting people, holding grudges because of what happened, this is not serving us as well, not at all. Because the thing is as well, we hold grudges or we resent people because we think it will keep us separate from them, and what happened is not going to repeat itself as well. But what we don't understand as well, sometimes it's holding on to resentment and grudges because of a situation is just bringing more of this in, because we are still holding on to this energy. So it makes sense to let go of the grudges and the resentment, and to forgive them and to forgive ourselves as well. So, and by doing this, you free yourself of it as well. So it's just like nothing of this weird energy in your field anymore. And the thing is as well, what Carol Ann and Shireen as well mentioned is the lessons as well. You know, if we can like go within and do some reflection or meditation as well, like Shireen is doing, and just like look at what had happened and what's the lesson here, because everything comes with a learning, everything comes with a lesson. And just like if we can understand as well what has been the lesson here for you. And Shireen, I think you mentioned as well conversation, or Carol Ann, I don't know, but one of you in regards to maybe it's important as well to go and to speak to them about it instead of just like keeping it for you. Yeah, maybe you have to learn to speak up and to just like and to speak to people as well about how you feel or how you perceive as well them being towards you. And another thing in regards to boundaries as well. Boundaries, something very important as well to learn within relationships in every part of our lives too. We have to have our boundaries and to understand as well it's okay to have them and we can have them. And people don't have to be, we can still be with people and say to them nicely and in a patient and friendly, loving way where our boundaries are, so that it's like a mutual understanding, so that both parties just know where we stand with each other. Nomsa, what's your take on boundaries and betrayal?
You definitely 100% have to have boundaries. You can't allow the same pattern to keep happening. And I like the way you said, Claudia, what lesson have we learned from that event, circumstance. And I like Shireen as well. You mentioned a very, very important part where you say very often in a relationship, people don't know that they have hurt you. And it happens so many times when I talk to people that people get so annoyed. So I'm like, yeah, have you communicated your feelings, how it makes you feel? And they're like, this person should know. I'm like, no, they shouldn't. And I like Carol Ann as well. You said forgive the soul, not the person. I think that is so powerful when you actually forgive. And also when you forgive that soul, you also forgive your soul as well, because otherwise your soul will get trapped by anger and forgiveness as well. So it's very, very, very important. That's a very powerful and deep topic, Carol Ann. Yeah, and it happens so every day. People experience betrayal every single day. So what would you say to somebody right now who is watching the talk show, and this person will be like, you guys don't understand how much this person has hurt me, but you're asking me to forgive. How do I begin? Is there steps that somebody can take? Like if somebody who is really, really angry and they're not into personal development, what advice can you give them, ladies?
I think the first thing to do is, well, I'm sort of swinging between two things actually, but understand the betrayal. Actually take that time to reflect. What happened and why it hurt you? You know, really understand it. Take that time. Because sometimes it hits you so quick. It's like I said in the beginning, it's that as if the ground has been pulled from underneath you. It's so quick, it just like woof. So it's sitting there and go, okay, so what just happened? What is it that just happened here that makes me feel betrayed? And actually, what was it about it that really hurt me so deeply? What was the action? Where did it leave me? And what was I thinking? Because very often it's what you've made it mean about you. Yeah. Because all that happened was what happened. That person did what they did, said what they said. And it's very often what you then made it mean about you. So really take that time. And anybody can do that, no matter whether you've done a lot of personal development or, self searching or not, or self-exploration. That's something you can do right now. What happened? What did you make it mean? And understanding it can then give you some clarity and possibly help prevent it happening again. Because you go, well, what did they do? What did I do? What led up to it that suddenly happened? You can perhaps go back. You might not have seen it, but when all of a sudden it happens, where it's like, well, what did happen? What were the steps leading up to it? And as we've all sort of said in here somewhere, where is the reflection? What part have I perhaps played in it? Or, but certainly take a good look at it. Stop, go, what just happened? Yeah. What would you say, Shireen?
Oh yeah, I endorse that 100%. Yeah, I think, when someone betrays that, we create meaning from that, right? They've done that means this. So yes, I'm feeling betrayed, but it's really about what does that mean in the consequence, in the bigger picture. So it's really important that you find out a little bit more about what does it mean. So if someone, for example, betrays you, does that mean that you're nothing? A lot of the time it's that I'm not worthy of being loved. I'm not worthy of this is often one of the running themes of betrayal. And we often make it about ourselves, right? And we then make it about ourselves as in a negative, from a victim place. We use the word victim too much, but we make it that it's not great for us, and that we feel that we don't have any power. So when that happens, it is that sense of powerlessness that kind of runs. So if you're feeling that, I think be very gentle on yourself first. Be incredibly gentle and just kind of just acknowledge this is painful, right? Whatever's happening right now is painful. So stay with it. If you can avoid running away from it, if you can just stay with it and just acknowledge this is painful, this person hurt me, stay with it. Because when you really honor the feeling that you're feeling, you're actually really honoring yourself, and you're honoring that your soul got hurt. So by then stepping with that, it takes a lot of the anxiety and a lot of stuff going down, because then you honor you by saying, I'm hurt. It's like no one's dismissing you, because betrayal is like you're being dismissed, you're being told you're not worthy, you know, all of whatever's going on. But if you're doing this for yourself, you're already bringing yourself back to yourself. You're already coming to the place where you can develop a little more resilience. That's the first key. Always just honor the feeling. I'm hurt, right? I'm hurt. Okay. As Carol Ann said, that was so important. Really understand what made you hurt. What made it hurt? What made it feel so betrayed? Is it because you had given so much trust to them? Had you given it without really setting any boundaries? Had you spoken to this person and sort of set that boundary that how they could treat you or not treat you, or what they could do? What was the limits of that relationship? We all go into marriage and all sorts of things, and we have agreements, but those agreements may not always be the same for each other. So it's about really checking that out, and then really look at what are you accountable for? Because those agreements are what you're accountable for. And what happens is that when, as I said, people may not have the same kind of construct of what they believe accountability is, but when you have that, then you can go, okay, next time, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I've learned. This is how I can do that. And that will help you then forgive yourself for not having set up things. Because if we don't know how we're going to shift it, then it's quite hard to forgive ourselves. If we start moving forward without really thinking these things through, we will have this gap that's not filled yet. So spend time, just stay there. Tell people, oh, I feel this. I feel so hurt. I feel so deeply hurt, right? It's like this scar, and I can just see it. It's ripping me apart, right? I don't know when the scar is going to stop bleeding or what it needs, but what I want is that I can see it slowly heal. I don't know yet how to do this, but I trust myself that it will, because time always heals to some degree. But if you start to be like that, what will start to happen is you'll start to get a sense of a togetherness, of a wound coming together, so that you can begin to relive and relive your life differently from a new script now, right? Not the old script anymore.
Yeah. Yes, Sharon, absolutely. What I started as well to do is I let people know how I feel, how it makes me feel when they do or say something. Something I didn't do in my younger years. And people sometimes as well, they're not psychics as well, and they act the way they do as well, because they don't know any better as well sometimes, you know. So just like the communication important too, just like don't be afraid as well to, just like to let them know how it makes you feel, because as well, maybe as well the person did not, just like think of it this way by doing or saying certain things. So this could be a little tip as well. And in regards to making it mean something about us when people do or say something to us, yes, we do this a lot. And a lot of the times as well, as it's been already said, it comes to I'm not being worthy, or I don't feel I deserve things as well. So please understand as well, not to go into this story, into this spiral down, because nothing outside determines about your worthiness and what you are deserving and what you're not deserving. Nothing outside. It is all an inside job, and you are worthy just because you are here on this planet. So just like very important as well, not to go down this spiral. And the question as well, Nomsa asked us if people can't quite yet forgive someone, it's still very intense and strong, and they're just not ready. That's fine as well. Then it's always good as well as a first little step, if you can do this, just to release this person as well. Just like not to forgive if you're not ready as from now on, but like just at least to release them as well. So this already is a little step as well, that you release them as from your life, and as well the obligations. Because what happens is when we meet people and on a subconscious level, we obligate them to teach us certain things. And once you understand this as well, just to release them from teaching you not to trust people or not to speak up for yourself as well. Understand the learning in it, and then just be grateful. Actually, as well, yes, be thankful for the situation. It did happen as well. It's showing you something. It's another new insight for you, a new learning as well. And when you can see it like this as well, and to celebrate and actually be thankful, see the learning in it, and then release the person as well, and release the person from their obligations to come into your life and to teach you certain things. Does it make sense, Nomsa?
You're muted.
But yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does. It does make sense. It does make sense, Claudia. I think it's very, very important. Like I like it when you say when the scar, like Shirini, you were talking about when the scar is bleeding, and Claudia, you mentioned that you now explain to people if they have hurt you, you explain to them, you let them know. Me, I'm doing the opposite now. I used to explain, but now I'm no longer explaining. I've realized that people are people, they will always hurt you. And since I've done that positive thing course, I'm realizing that we live in this world where people are very, very judgmental. And sometimes people don't really care about it, people's feelings. They don't care about, they just care about themselves. And also going through Lucifer, I realize what he does. He just controls people. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time explaining, because the more you explain to somebody, I can explain it to somebody who is into personal development. They will understand if they will hurt me. But anybody else that is not into personal development, that means I'll be arguing. So what I do now is I go into prayer. I say to God, can you actually take control in this situation and show that person how much they have hurt me, and or how much what I have contributed. And then I apologize to God if there is any part of me that it has contributed to that, to make that person behave the way they have behaved. And then I apologize, and then I also ask the judgment. And I find that when I ask that, without me having to explain, that person will come back to me and say, Nomsa, I'm really sorry the way I have behaved, instead of me trying to explain, and then we end up going somewhere else, fighting and stuff. So, and I understand that, like Kero Ann, you mentioned that understand what made you feel the way you feel, the hurt. I think it's very, very important to search through ourselves. Kero Ann, I think you watched me through when I was going, like the way I used to react to every situation. But now I don't. I think how I used to react to the situation, part of it was my confidence, and a part of it was part of me that did not feel there was something that I needed to work on. But now when somebody says something, I don't feel it anymore. I don't really care. I'm like, all I do is I search through the meaning of what makes them. Do they want to build me? If they're say coming in a place of wanting me to go to the next level, I will look into what they are saying, because sometimes the truth hurts. So I look into what they are saying, and then I'll grow myself and work on that one. And I like it, Sharina, as well. And you said we give meaning when some people betrays us. We give things meaning. For me, I'm trying to work on not giving things a meaning, because I find the more I give something a meaning, the more I get hurt. But if I let it be, like if I refuse to enter that environment of hurt, I find that I don't get hurt, because I'm like, sometimes I'm in a point where when I'm fasting, I'm in a point where I'm like, this is not my story. Why should I enter it? It's not my story. So then I try to find out why this person behave the way they behave. If they don't want to talk to me, then I move on, because I know it's not my story. It's not part of me.
Yeah, and that's a great point. If it's not your story and you're identifying that, okay, that's not my story. A question you could ask yourself is, whose story is it?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we pick up things through our childhood, and it's things that our parents say or friends, relatives, and we pick them up and we put them on, and we seem to then live with them and live them out. So very often, yes, if you start recognizing that this is not my story, just stop and ask yourself, well, whose story is it? And then you'll find that it's probably somewhere in the past you heard someone and you've picked it up. So you can just say, okay, I let that go. And even, put it up to the Lord and say, I release this to you. I have it serves me no longer. And it is not mine. I recognize it is whoever's it is. Give it back to them, leave it with them, and allow me to create my own. So it's a great point there, Nomsa. Yeah, recognizing the story that you're saying and going, oh, not my story. Yeah, it's a really powerful shift to do and to notice in there. And I love, Shireen, you started saying about emotion, because I said there's two things I wanted to talk about and I spoke about what I said, and the other was about acknowledging the emotions that you're going through, because there'll be a whole plethora of emotions that come up in that betrayal. So certainly acknowledging them and how painful they are and staying with them, because very often we do want to push them away, and pushing them down doesn't help you. That's where you get illnesses and stress, and which creates more illness in your body. But actually just staying with them and observing them, they will come and they will go, so certainly talking about them, and maybe even writing about it. The journaling is a great outlet for releasing those emotions, acknowledging, because it's about acknowledging them. This is what is happening for me. And as Shireen was saying, say it's painful, or it hurts, or I'm angry, and just feel it, really feel it. And is it anger, or is it maybe rage? There are so many words actually that I've come to realize, because there are so many layers and differences within our emotions. And the more I've come to recognize my emotions and how I'm feeling, the more I'm finding, no, it's that. I find another word that actually fits it beautifully. So explore all the words there are around emotions that can describe emotions, and find which one actually speaks to you and goes, that's it. That is so it, and maybe look the word up, because what drew you to that word? And so again, it's finding the words, because when you can say the word, it has that resonance of that emotion, and that in itself can help release. So certainly look at words and acknowledging your emotions about what's happening. And if you find it hard to deal with yourself, this is where reaching out to one of us to be able to talk it through so that we can assist you in actually holding that space. Because it's not about us pulling it out of you or telling you to shut up or anything. It's holding that space for you to go in and to find them yourself. And if you know of someone that can do that with you, then great. If one of your friends can, that's amazing. They're not going to try and make it all better, because that's not what you want. It's not about making it better. That's like putting a Band-Aid on over, plastering over cracks that are not going to heal. No, it's it's actually about being present to it, having someone that can hold that space, really listen, and allow those words and what that emotion is to be really expressed. And that's where a lot of healing can come, and that's where eventually forgiveness can just, as Shireen was saying, it will just pop in. So relive life from a new script. That's what we were saying. I love that. I love that phrase. And you've got a choice, as we keep saying. You have a choice. You want to go with the old script that possibly isn't yours anyway, or create a new one and relive your life in a different way, so that those betrayals don't happen. Because if they happen again, they'll just be even stronger, because you haven't learned the lesson that was there in the first place. And there is that beautiful phrase that's that the lessons come. It's like, first of all, it's like a feather, and then it's like a brick, and then it's like a truck, a 10-ton truck. So feather, brick, truck, which do you want? And very often we ignore the feather, when it comes like a little tickle, it tickles you. So the trick is learning to recognize the feather, when it comes.
Yeah. I think that I love that, and that is such an important thing, because it's also a metaphor for the whole of life, right? Yes. Because a lot of people don't, some people will have a heart attack and they'll say, that happened out of the blue. Never. Unless you're a young person, it's very unlikely that it's happened out of the blue. It's happened, you've had warning signs along the way. You just haven't known what those warning signs were, right? So the feather, you need to know what the feather is. We need to know what are those emotions that are kind of on the edge, that are kind of making us feel a little bit like this. Then when you get the next one that you start to feel bad, then you go, oh, I need to do something here. If you don't do something here, yes, it gets worse. You start to find yourself in another pickle, and then you find yourself in another pickle, until eventually you have the betrayal or whatever happens. Yeah, because invariably nothing ever happens out of the blue. There's these little things, these little cues we haven't noticed that have been happening along. So yeah, I love that. I love that. And yeah, there was something that I was thinking about, and my thoughts just disappeared, particularly what there was, the idea of what Nomsa was talking about. And I'm sorry, I just lost it while I was listening to the whole thing. But yeah, I suppose when I really think about it, for me, the most important thing is that sense of that holding that space. And obviously you were talking about what you do now from what you did before. and in positive intelligence terms, that would be you're now in your sage, right? You are now saying, I don't want to justify or try and make people understand me. I'm going to model being a sage. I'm going to model who I am. And that then gives them permission to model from you. We all have these mirror neurons, and these mirror neurons immediately, they get triggered. So if someone is busy answering you back, then what will happen is if you're not in a space where you're calm and okay, you will react, and that's what the mirror neurons will do. You will respond in the same way to what those mirror neurons cause in another person. We all have them. We all learn. That's how children learn. We have got these very special neurons that allow us to learn very fast, very quickly, just by observing people, by modeling them. So yeah, so the most important thing is, you know, whatever's happening is we've got to work on ourselves. We've got to work on finding out how we can be resilient. How can we be resilient? Well, we have to do things every day to make sure that we keep ourselves resilient. So we do things like writing, or do things like going for a walk, do things that we do consistently that build us up and allow us to be able to withstand when things go wrong. You know, this is really imperative. And I know that if you have experienced betrayal, it's going to be really even more important that you build this kind of place of resilience. And that takes a little bit of time. But it can happen very fast, very quickly, if you're consistent. And that will really build you up to a degree that if someone does say stupid things like that, you can go into your little sage like Nomsa, and you can be able to say, well, I don't have to explain it. I don't have to explain this. What you need to see is me modeling. You need to see me showing you the way, right? This is the way, not answering, not having to explain, not having to do that, but know that by just my kindness and my way of showing you will allow you to see where your mistake has been, or where you haven't understood what was going on, the bigger picture. So I think that's a really key aspect to pay attention to. So yeah, for me, it is one, recognizing your own feelings. A great thing to do is scribble on one sheet of paper, scribble that emotion, whatever it is that you're feeling, scribble it, paint it, do what you like, because it is a work of art, right? It is a work of art. Then ask yourself the question, what do I want? And then draw a picture for that. And then hold them together and go, what do I need to go in between here, right? So that you can start to plot little pictures along the way. That can be really helpful. Even just in having done that one, you'll get emptied yourself of all the CRAP, and you would have been able to get to empty that enough that you can see, that's what I want. I want to have that nice sunny picture of peace and calm. And you can see I'll have Nomsa's beach over there. So I think it's really useful to do something that's going to be very active, because emotions are just energy in motion. When we get stuck, we're trapping them. So we want to allow ourselves to let them become free-flowing. So the moment we give ourselves a drawing, or we shout, or we scream, and we do something in a sense of being able to just kind of let those emotions flow, that'll just clear your system, and then you'll be able to do something after that. It'll bring you, self-regulate you, and you'll feel more in control.
Yeah. Yes, important as well to feel the emotions as well.
Claudia, I'm going to have to say goodbye, ladies. I've got a meeting at 2. Carol Annie, you are the host now.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll see you guys on the other side.
All right.
Cheers.
Hopefully in this life.
Oh yeah. Yes. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Something else as well to add in regards to emotions. Yes, important to feel the emotions and the sensations as well, connected with the emotions in the body, because what we tend to do as well, we don't want to feel certain emotions or sensations, and we want to push them away or to numb them as well. But the thing is as well, they would be just popping up. They are just under the surface. So again, I say as well, just feel them as well, and the sensations, and just like be with them, because they just want to be felt and seen and acknowledged by you. It's nothing too scary about it. Yeah. Once you understand this as well, and you know how to be with those not so pleasant emotions sometimes as well. And then they just move around your body and they move out as well, as just like they don't stay within you. And for me as well, in regards to some last words of encouragement, is basically as well to let go. And it's been already said today as well. Just like as well, decide, okay, this has been happened. This was the situation. Hopefully as well, you have learned the lesson. So maybe as well a bit, some reflection as well, what it is about, and then just decide as well to let go. It's just a decision, because this is actually as well the moment where the weight comes off your shoulder, because this has been happening. It's the past, and the past is the past. We can't change this as well any longer. But what we can do as well in this very moment to make a decision and to choose. This has been talked about as well today, that we can always make a decision and choose from here on to do things differently as well the next time. So these are my words of encouragement. Letting go of it.
Yeah. So what are your words of encouragement or wisdom that you'd like to leave them with, Shireen?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, that a betrayal is really our perception of it, the way we haven't, the way we're looking at it, and we're making meaning about it for ourselves. Instead of making meaning of it as something about you, turn it around and just say, this is what is it that I'm here to learn? So that we can start to get the idea as to, okay, this happened as a consequence of some learning that wasn't in place. Okay, so what learning did I get here? What can I do next so that this doesn't happen again? Or what can I do next so that I have better relationships, that I won't have betrayal? So I think it's just a really key aspects to really pay attention to. This is just about learning. So what did I need to learn that I haven't learned yet?
Yeah, absolutely. And then setting, well, what do you want, and pace yourself for the future. Thank you. And I mean, one of the things is there's something about rebuilding self-trust, because maybe in that you've then lost trust in your own judgment, your own self-worth, or your choices. You made a choice and something happened, and there was betrayal. So the first thing to rebuild is your own self-trust. And so focus on that. And it can go through some of the things that we've explained, like setting boundaries, self-forgiveness, and just remembering that you've actually got the strength in yourself. It is within you. And actually, nothing ever happens. The universe never gives you anything that you haven't got the wherewithal to deal with. And that's something that's always helped me, however deep it's got or hurtful. It's that remembering I have the resources within me to deal with this. I have the wherewithal. I know people who can support me. It doesn't have to always be me. So there's nothing that you cannot actually deal with in some way. So do remember that. And something J.K. Rowling, she said, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. So plan going forward. And Claudia, you spoke about letting go. I think there's another aspect of letting go when you're rebuilding your life. Is the question, because I think we sort of said about, or inferred, you're still going to rebuild that relationship, because that's what we're focusing on in a way. Also consider letting go of that relationship. Maybe it's time to let go. Because was it a betrayal too much, or is it just something there is no way that you could feel you can trust that person anymore? Maybe that relationship has run its course and it's time to let go. So do consider that. You don't have to hang on for grim death and I've got to rebuild this relationship at all costs. That's not what we're saying here.
No.
It's down to you. Just look at it very carefully. And if you're really stuck and you don't know what to do, reach out. We're here Monday to Friday, 1 o'clock. You can find us on the website, Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency. HSEA, yeah, that's it, HESIA.com or .coaches is where you can find us. And thank you for listening. Okay, and we'll see you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.